Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to talk about expanding your answers in IELTS Speaking Part 2. We'll have a few different methods for easy things you can do to expand your answers, and also how to use subordinate clauses as well. If you can use subordinate clauses effectively, this can really boost your grammatical range and score. So we'll talk a few different methods today and see what you can start including in your IELTS practice right away. All right, so let's give a practice question. A sample Part 2 question might be, talk about a trip you have taken. Where did you go? What did you do? Maybe what did you enjoy most? And would you recommend this trip to your friends or family? Now, with the Part 2 questions, with the card, it's going to have some key bits of information there for you. It doesn't mean you can't add more information. So my usual go-to is looking at who, what, when, where, why, and how. These things can help you add more information. So for instance, this particular question doesn't say anything about who, but it doesn't mean I can't add that extra information because it's relevant to the topic. So if I went on this holiday with my friends or family or partner, I could say that, or I could say I went on my own. All right, what that is included in this question. When was not included in this question, but we can definitely say when we went on this trip, for instance, what time of year, what month, why. Again, this question does not mention why, but absolutely you can add that information. It's completely relevant and it gives you more things to talk about. And how? How did you get there? By bus, by plane, by train, motorbike? You can definitely use these extra who, what, when, where, why, and how. So have a look at the question, see whether there's some extra information that you can add in here. As long as you stay on topic, there's no reason why you can't add in this extra information. It means that you can talk for longer and add more detail. So how to extend your answers. Some of my go-tos that I always recommend to students would be explaining why. Pretty much anything you can say, you can add a why to get more detail. So for me, I would probably talk about my recent trip to Bali because it's fresh in my mind and easy for me to talk about. I went to Bali because, or since, or due to, and explain why from there. You can add information together in a sentence, and this will automatically make your sentence more complex. A lot of students get confused about what does it mean to add complex sentences in IELTS speaking. It doesn't mean complicated. It just means that you're not giving these short little sentences. Instead of saying, I went to Bali and it was cool and it was fun. These are very short things. If we can add, I went to Bali and I had a fantastic time sightseeing and swimming with dolphins. Okay, you've added more information. That is a sentence that is much better than our little short individual sentences that we just had before. So how do we add information? And, the word and, you'll be using it all the time also. Don't forget to add a little contrast, for instance, but or however. I might say, I've been to Bali before, but this time I tried all these new things that I had never gotten to try before. Or I went to Bali and I had a great time, but it was too crowded this time. Or maybe the weather was very hot and sticky. You can always give examples. So if you say you went on a trip and you did a ton of fun, adventure-y things, give some examples. On my trip, I went swimming with dolphins. I climbed a couple mountains. I went surfing. I went scuba diving. I swam at the beach. You can always give more examples to explain what you did, what you ate, what you saw. You can also talk about the past and compare things. Like maybe you can compare it to another trip that you've taken. Was it better then? Was it cheaper then? Was it more exciting than another trip that you had taken previously? You can also look to the future. Talk about things that you might want to do when you go back again. Maybe you'll want to revisit some of the same places, or that you might want to go back again and try something different. All right, now let's get into some subordinate clauses. All right, these are including where, which, who, when. And if you can use these really well, again, these can increase your grammatical range and your score if you can get them done just right. So I'm going to give you some examples of how I might use them. So where, I might say, my last holiday was in Bali, where you can choose to relax in nature, go to the beach, do yoga and meditation, swim with dolphins, and so much more. How about the word which? I learned how to make batik, which is a method of decorating and painting scarves with beautiful patterns and colors. Who? How would I use who? I had a fantastic art teacher who was very patient with me and helped me to create the bright patterns and designs that I wanted. How about when? I used to go to Bali all the time before COVID, when travel was much easier. Or I visited Bali in August, when the weather was cooler and less humid. Right? So now you see, not as scary, I think, as it seems, right? So again, it just gives you more flexibility with your grammar, shows the examiner that you have a bit of a range with your grammar, and it will help boost your score as well. So yes, these are some simple ways to recap how you can expand your answers. Have a look at the question. Of course, you're going to use the question topic first. In this case, where did you go? What did you do? What did you enjoy most? Would you recommend? But don't forget the who, what, when, where, why, and how. There might be something there you can add. Don't forget, you can explain why, add information, use your contrast with a but or however, give examples, talk about the past, compare it to another experience you've had, and look to the future. You can always talk about what you might want to do differently next time, things you might want to try, and your subordinate clauses, your where, which, who, when. Give it a try, practice them, see how this could fit into your Part 2 speaking task. Wishing you all the luck, and we'll see you next time.